If I only had dumbbells, this is exactly what I would do. I'm gonna show you how to progress effectively, exactly which dumbbell exercises you should do, and also how to make sure that your dumbbell only workout is as time efficient as possible. First of all, we need to identify what kind of dumbbells we have available, because that is really important. And I don't mean the brand of your dumbbells or anything like that. The two main types of dumbbells we want to differentiate between is adjustable dumbbells and dumbbells which have their weight fixed, because the strategies that we will apply will be completely different for each one. So let's first go over the progression with the adjustable dumbbells. Here it's much simpler than if you have access only to dumbbells with fixed weight, as you can easily progressively overload just by adding more weight, which is not really possible if you only have one pair of dumbbells with fixed weight. So the progressive overload is taken care of here. Now let's see how to progress with dumbbells that have their weight fixed, or with adjustable dumbbells that you have already maxed out. Here it's impossible to add more weight, so what are you supposed to do? Well, thankfully, progressive overload can be applied in a lot of other ways than just by adding more weight, which will allow us to progressively overload while still using the same exact dumbbells. There are four main methods that you can apply to achieve this effect. The first one of them is increasing the repetitions. If you have access only to dumbbells with fixed weight, this is what you gotta do. So if you just start working out, being in like a 8 to 12 rep range will probably still be challenging for you. But as you get stronger, you will need to increase the rep range. Otherwise, it will not be challenging at all, and you will just mindlessly go through the motions without building any muscle. So yeah, you will eventually end up doing 20 or even 30 reps in each set, which might sound insane, but if you are working with limited resources, this is what you gotta do. You just gotta leave the mindset of I need to follow the rules behind, because special situations require special solutions. What you can also do is increase the amount of sets. You usually see 3 sets per exercise everywhere, but as I said before, special situations require special solutions. So if you are, for example, already doing 3 sets of bicep curls, and on each one of those sets you are already in a very high rep range, so around 30, then it would be an amazing idea to add more sets. Yes, the amount of sets will start to look really crazy on paper, but in reality this is just a very necessary step when you use only dumbbells with fixed weight. It's just another method of progressively overloading, so don't stress about the fact that this doesn't align with conventional number of sets you would normally get recommended to do if you worked out in a fully equipped gym. And the cherry on top that will put all of these methods together is decreasing the rest times. This is another way of making the exercise harder, without the need to change the weight. Once again, if you are already doing a high amount of repetitions and you are not even approaching failure in those sets, shortening the rest times between the sets will put more stress on your muscles, which will make them grow more. So don't stand around for 3 minutes between your sets of bicep curls if you don't need to. If you are ready to go again after 1 minute, then go again. Forget about some optimal resting protocols. Remember that special situations require special solutions. And the last method is to just work out more frequently. When working out with dumbbells with fixed weight, it can be pretty difficult to achieve a good amount of muscle fatigue, just because the weights itself are not that challenging, so you will be able to recover very quickly from these workouts. So as you get stronger and stronger and you start to apply all of the methods I mentioned in this video, you will eventually get to the point where adding more workouts will be the next stepping stone in order to grow even more with the same weights. But all of these progression methods I just talked about should be applied progressively. Remember, these methods are replacing the fact that you cannot add extra weight. And if you were in a regular gym, you also wouldn't add 100 pounds to each exercise all at once. You would add it in small increments. And that's the same exact thing you should do here. Add and apply all the methods in small bits. If you just instantly start doing all of those methods at once, you will completely destroy yourself, and that's not the goal. The goal is to make it just a tiny bit more difficult in each workout by using some of those methods I mentioned. Now let's talk about the exercises that you should do if you only have dumbbells. As you already know, I'm a huge fan of the basic exercises, and that's exactly what you should take advantage of here. So let's go over all the exercises and movement patterns for each body part. The first one is chest. The movement patterns here are as follows: a horizontal press, an incline press, and an isolation exercise. And this is where some of you might encounter the first issue, and that is not having access to a bench. If you literally have just dumbbells and not anything else at all, how are you gonna do something like the bench press? Well, it might seem like that you are completely screwed, but don't you worry, I got a solution. Take your dumbbells and put them in a backpack, or if you got adjustable dumbbells, you can put the plates in the backpack. And then you can do all the chest exercises without the bench. Instead of the bench press, you can do weighted push-ups, as it's the same exact movement pattern. And instead of the incline bench press, you can do weighted decline push-ups, which are also mimicking the movement pattern of the incline bench press perfectly. And for the isolation exercise, you would normally do some kind of fly, either a dumbbell or a cable fly. But for the dumbbell fly, you once again need a bench. You could do the dumbbell flies on the ground, but in all honesty that kinda sucks, because you can't get the full bottom stretch, which is really important on this exercise. So what I would recommend instead is the dumbbell pullover in the chest variation, which also requires a bench, but you can easily do it by laying on one side of your bed. Alright, now let's talk about the back. Here the two main movement patterns are a horizontal pull and a vertical pull. Horizontal exercises are basically any rowing exercises, and vertical exercises are exercises like pull-ups or the leg pull-down. Horizontal exercises in a dumbbell only variation are really simple, as you can just do dumbbell rows, so I would highly recommend that. But where it gets really tough is the vertical exercise. If you got access to a pull-up bar or an outside workout area, then you can just do pull-ups or chin-ups or whatever variation you want. And that is definitely the best vertical pulling exercise. But if you don't have access to any of that, then it gets really tough to come up with something else. The best replacement is most likely once again the dumbbell pullover, but in a lat focused variation of course. So that is my recommendation if you literally have only dumbbells. Next up we have shoulders. Here we want to do 3 types of exercises. Dumbbell overhead press and 2 types of isolation exercises. One for the lateral head and one for the rear head of the shoulder. Dumbbell overhead press is self-explanatory, as you can just do it standing up with your dumbbells, or if you have an adjustable bench then you can do it sitting, that's up to you. For the lateral head isolation you should definitely go with the good old lateral raises. And for the rear head isolation go for the rear delt fly. As you can see there are not really any issues with training shoulders with just dumbbells, which is awesome. Alright, now let's take a look at biceps. In this dumbbell only environment, I would recommend you to do just 2 types of biceps exercises. One curl that is focused on the brachialis and brachioradialis, which basically means doing hammer curls, and the other curl can be whatever bicep exercise that you like. It can be just the basic dumbbell bicep curl, concentration curl or whatever else, it really doesn't matter. Go with the exercise that you like doing the most. Now let's go from the biceps to triceps. Here we have 2 types of exercises that you should do. One that focuses on the lateral head and one that focuses on the long head. The best way of doing triceps isolation exercises is definitely with cables. But we don't have access to that in this case, so we gotta get more creative. So in that case, for the lateral head, I would highly recommend diamond push-ups, either bodyweight only or you can even add some weight to your backpack once again. And for the long head, you need to do some kind of overhead exercise. So for example, the dumbbell skull crusher or the dumbbell overhead extension. Okay, now let's take a look at the lower body. And after that, we will talk about abs, because everyone always asks about that. For the quads, we should keep it super simple. If you are still a beginner, bodyweight squats will be perfect. And once you are ready to add more weight, you can try exercises like the goblet squat or the split squat. And same for the hamstrings. We will keep it just as simple as possible with just one type of exercise. And if you find yourself needing more, you can just increase the number of sets for that one exercise. Remember, you can do more than just 3 sets for the same exercise. The one exercise that should be your main focus is some kind of hip hinge exercise, which in this dumbbell only scenario should be the dumbbell Romanian deadlift. Alright, now you know what you should do for your quads and hamstrings. But if you also want to train your glutes directly, then you can add lunges into the mix, which will nicely round out your leg development. And the last part of the lower body is calves. Here you should focus on the standing calf raise. All you will need to do it effectively is some kind of elevated surface. So for example stairs, or you can put a plate or a book on the ground, literally anything that can be used to create an elevated surface. Once you got your elevated surface, you are ready to go. Start with just body weight, and once you get more advanced you can hold dumbbells in your hands, or you can just put them in a backpack once again. That concludes the lower body. Now it's time for the abs. Because we can only use dumbbells, the best option is to just do weighted sit-ups. You can start by holding a singular plate or a dumbbell, and if you find yourself needing more weight, you can once again put your weights into a backpack and use that. And these are all the exercises for all the body parts that you should use. Now you can just build a routine using these exercises, or you could look into my training plans that offer a wide variety of exercises to choose from, so that if you want to, you can do the whole workout with just a pair of dumbbells. Now we have to talk about one very important thing. And that is how to make these dumbbell only workouts more time manageable. Because if you have to start adding extra sets and extra reps, the workouts will naturally get longer and longer. But once again, I have a solution. To be exact, I have 2 of them. The first one is to start doing antagonist training, which means that you will train 2 body parts back to back, but the condition is that those 2 body parts cannot interfere with each other. So in the best case scenario, they should be opposing each other. That's why it's called antagonist training. So for example, if you start with push-ups, then do dumbbell rows right after. You can do this without any problems because the chest and the back are directly opposing body parts, which means that while you do the push-ups, the back is resting, and while you do the rows, the chest is resting. This way you can save the quote-unquote dead time that you would spend just waiting around to start your next set. So if you want to do antagonist training, you should pair training your chest with training your back. Then your biceps with your triceps and your quads with your hamstrings. But the body parts don't always have to be directly opposing each other. You can for example train shoulders together with calves. Even though they are not directly opposing each other, they don't interfere with each other, so it's fine to do them back to back. This way you can save tons of time. The second solution is to transform your workout into a circuit type workout, where you basically go and do all the exercises in a circle that you just repeat over and over with almost no rest in between, which will also save you a lot of time. But once again, the exercises should be put in an order in which they will not directly interfere with each other. So for example, if you start with push-ups, you probably shouldn't be training triceps right after. Always try to make sure that the next exercise in a row is not hitting the same muscles as the exercise before it. And this is exactly what I would do if I only had dumbbells. Now go ahead and apply this knowledge in your own dumbbell only routine, and I will see you next time. If you watched this whole video, then you should definitely check out this one too.